Benge. Smith.
Present.
VanDorin.
Present.
Cope.
Present.
I will take a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion by Chisman,
Second.
seconded by Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll also take a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion by Cope,
Second.
seconded by Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, mayor's report. First off, our monthly water update. For the first time in 4 months, we had an increase in usage. It was up nearly 100,000 gallons over October. It's always good to check for leaks. It really might be a good idea just for everybody to check your stuff at home now. Make sure you don't have anything leaking anywhere. I know stool running, something like that can add up in a hurry. So just want everybody to kind of check that, be aware of that. Update on a couple other things we've discussed in the past. Our attorney has been working on the nuisance abatement of the property at 305 East State Street, which was agreed to be turned over to the city. So wait for her to finish the paperwork before we can proceed with that. A hot button topic in town right now has been the ordinance we passed about the use of recreational vehicles for permanent homes. 4 notices were sent out from City Hall to residents in town, notifying them that they had their 30 days. 2 of them notified us that they're not using their campers as permanent homes any longer, and 2 citations were written on November 15th. The 2 citations have yet to accomplish anything. The sheriff will be contacted here in the next day or 2 to go out and issue another citation. Just trying to get that moving along. Saturday, December 15th, city clerk and I think Councilman Smith will be hosting a Christmas open house here at City Hall from 9 to 11.
Mrs. Smith will be doing most of it.
Mrs. Smith, yep, Mrs. Smith will be here. Hot chocolate, coffee, and treats. Hopefully a good time will be had by all. Everyone in town, I believe, that takes water received a copper, results of the copper and lead test that was missed in 2017, so it was done here in 2018. We passed with flying colors, everything was fine. There was no real issues. We just had to notify everybody that the test wasn't done in 17 and it was finished here in 18. So as we come upon our first year, this me being mayor these first 12 months, I'd like to just thank everybody up here for all the work that they put in and everything extra we've done, whether it be filling potholes together or budget meetings and trying to hammer out a budget and everything. Just thanks, guys. This first year went really well, I think, and here's to moving forward. Okay, one other thing that Ina gave me a notice upon right before we came in here, we need to start talking budget for the next fiscal year. Got me kind of a timeline thing. Our next council meeting, we don't meet. This is like the longest stretch we can possibly have between council meetings, the way the calendar falls. We may have to have a work session to kind of hammer out the budget where we want to allocate funds for the next year between now and the meeting on the 14th. We have to have it finalized and ready and have a budget hearing on February, our meeting in February. So might take a little time one night, get everybody together like we did last year and just kind of discuss where we think we need to allocate money and things. So other than that, I am done for tonight. Any public communication?
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't be here last month when you approved the water and sewer rate increase, and I did get your letter explaining it, and I have some questions.
Yes.
And at my initial glance, it looks like both items are over the top. You had originally contacted the Rural Water Association, and for some reason that got put on the back burner. And I see in the letter it says you also have reinstalled the sewer fee of 10 65 above and beyond the regular rate. Is that true?
It was just, it had just carried over from the previous, yeah.
Okay, my question would be, sewer rates should be, your basic charge should be just your overhead, administrative fees, and you should simply have, sewer fees should be based on the water rate that's run through the sewer. So there shouldn't be, and I've told the previous administrations, there shouldn't be any need for a 1065. Your charges should wash out in gallons usage. The guy that drives a 100,000-mile car contributes more waste to the upkeep of the car than the guy who drives 10,000 miles. So why is everybody that's a normal user getting charged 1065 along with your basic charge, and not having a basic charge in your first 1,000 gallons and then having a rate set of all the gallons? Then it also says at the end, an additional $1 added to the sewer fee. What's that?
That's for every 1,000 above the first 1,000, just to kind of even that out, a little more for more usage.
Okay, well, the Rural Water Association has an incremental rate schedule that has those thousands in increments graduated up based on usage. I would encourage you, you've had 12 months of administration and your costs and your bookkeeping. There's in the Rural Water Association is a free service. Why aren't you going back to the people who are the experts who do this for a living to say to them, do this work for me and establish this? Because you're not going to find a 1065 sewer fee.
They pretty much threw their hands in the air, Randy. They wouldn't communicate back with us because the 2 years prior, again, we had nothing collected 2 years ago, and then last year it all come in all at once, so that they couldn't get an accurate gauge on anything.
But you had 12 months of an accurate gauge to go back at them. It only takes them guys about 60 days to produce the report.
And I will reach back out to them.
I would strongly, that's what they're there for, to help cities and municipalities establish these rates. You know, a family of 4 or 5 at $100 bill a month, you're gonna have people leave this city. That's outrageous. We did some preliminary numbers early on, borrowing the first half of the sewer project, not the second half. The rates weren't anywhere close to this to pay back that kind of a note. So I would recheck that out, because I think you're way over the top here.
I say something Randy's done.
So anyway, the public is confused about all of these fees. You should have a basic administration fee and a first 1,000 gallons on a sewage charge, and then an incremental base, thousands of gallons of usage thereafter, and that's all a person should see on their bill. And again, the guy that's using 100,000 at the elevator ought to be shouldering more of the burden to pay back this note, because he's contributing more wear and tear on your system, not the poor guy that's only using 1,000 gallons. The 1065 is gouging us all, and the big users, they're just skating by and saying, I ain't paying my, they're not paying their fair share.
They're still paying their fair share, because on the additional 1,000 gallons, there is an increase as well to that, so they will be paying more.
Now, you have an ordinance that says, this is an old ordinance, 70% of the water, sewer should be 70% of the water rate. You're in a position where that isn't going to apply, because the sewer side is going to be far more than your water side to pay back a $500,000 note. So you can't set sewer rates at 70% of water. It's just not feasible because of the numbers. You're going to have higher sewer rates than your water rates. And your water rates have gone up so high, water doesn't have any borrowed money. So why has water...
We haven't kept up with changing meters out, replacing new meters. That's been...
I looked back at our 5-year increment at 10%. And that's 7 years ago. It would have been over a 5-year period. It didn't even come close to $21. At a 5, now that's not paying any note on sewer. That's just water incremental. To jump from $5.16 to $21.24 sounds really out of whack. So like I said, I'm not an expert, but Dale Barry, the guys at Water Rural Association, that's what they do, So that's all they do for cities is helps them work these formulas out and establish a fair and incremental scale so that the big users are shouldering the bigger burden, the small guys getting a fair shot at it too. Okay, enough on that one. Building permits. There's more building permits as I speak here that are started, and I'm wondering, has any of these people received a letter from anybody that documents that they've been told to stop or desist or don't carry on any further because they're continuing to build?
We haven't had any other one other than this one down the street as far as I know. That's, anybody else in town that's building anything?
I know, no one, we only been.
They're gonna be notified tomorrow, just to
Well, I've
stop.
spoke to several of you about Jose Jimenez, I've spoke to you about Pruitt's, and I spoke to you about Harlan's. The fence is still there, another fence is going up at another property, another shed has been built at
They've been
another
notified,
property.
the owner of the property, one of the properties you mentioned was notified, and that was stopped. The work on that one was stopped. Jimenez has not built anything currently,
Oh, yes, he has.
has he?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Regardless of whether you've notified Travis, Harlan should have got the letter. I mean, Travis is an owner, but Harlan, you need some documentation that you let these people know and what the consequences are if they don't tear it down. It's still there. So it's a detriment to my property values over in my neighborhood. And they just continue to build, and Pruitt's built another shed, along with a fence that I notified that didn't have a building permit. Jose's building up by the house again. He's got a hodgepodge system up there along the house. He's built 4 or 5 structures around the chicken coop over there. And he continues daily to pound on something out there. So I think you guys need to address your building permit issues because it's getting out of hand.
Start working on the letter as soon as we're done tonight. Bob?
Yeah, I'd like to add, nobody up here likes doing this on the rates, but we've got to start setting some money back to repair and not have a breakdown be an emergency. And I think that was factored in when we did that. I don't know whether they used to do it. When I first came on board, there didn't seem to be any money. Now, it's going to be our responsibility to try to keep that money in those funds and not move it somewhere else. But we do need to get some reserves for both sewer and water. Everything we got here has been here a while. The older it gets, the more we're subject to some kind of a failure. And like I said at the other meeting, if you like to live in a small place that's not congested, maybe we're going to have to ante up and pay to do that.
Oh, well, we were assessing that reserve, Bob, and that's a prudent and proper thing to do, but you can't rate the people beyond a reasonable amount in your rates. So in other words, if your cash flow is because of misspent administrations in the past, you can't try to make that deficit spending up in water and sewer because those are trusted agencies and those funds can't be spent, they shouldn't be spent on other things other than the accounts. And sewer and water are 2 different trusted agencies and you can't cross the 2.
Some people should have came to the meetings when we were discussing this. The vote was 3-2. There was quite a bit of controversy about it, but
We had a lot of different meetings and a lot of different discussions. and we
nobody
had
showed
nobody show
up. And basically, people got to show up, and that would have been the time to argue some of this. And
There was never
I
any
see.
figures given to any of us to any of these meetings.
nobody was at these meetings.
I was at every meeting except for last month when we had a Lions Club meeting.
The work session, we discussed a lot of figures and everything. There was nobody here for the work session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, And we did say in there that in the future, we could lower stuff if it looked like it, but at the time, rural water wasn't, nobody had done anything for 6 years. It's a tough pill to swallow. I wasn't for it. I'm still think it's a pretty good gouge, and I think it's a little too much, but.
We'll find out.
But
And
the
that's what
Rural
we'll
Water
find out.
Association will tell you whether it's a fair.
Randy, if we can get them, and I've talked to them.
I've got a list. of
Jason's
emails
talked
in
to
there.
them. We're not sitting there BSing you. We called them, we got nothing from them. Now, I admit I didn't get my car and drive up there and fight with the guy, whether he didn't have the adequate numbers, and maybe we'll do another follow-up.
No, they come down and sit with Ina, and they will go through Ina's books
I
and.
submitted the water quality or the water rate survey that they sent us and sent it to them, and they said they'd come the 1st of May, and they didn't come, and they didn't come, and these guys kept calling, and we just never got a result, and we were at the point where we had to do something.
And I don't blame you, but I think you all lack the experience and know-how to set this formula in a fair fashion.
But I'm also going to something that I've been telling myself a lot. I sat up here the last time when we passed that, and I voted for it, and I said, nothing will stop me if necessary to lowering the rates back down. But I also know one thing, I think perfection is the enemy of progress. If we sit around and worry about it for another year, we're gonna be in worse shape than we are now. We can always change stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
get them in here, and you had a year under your belt, you have the information to set the rates properly.
Sounds like they tried to get them in.
Yeah, we have tried.
And we'll continue.
I'll call Dale Bowery myself. I've known Dale for 15 or 20 years, and I'll say, Dale, these people need help. Dale will be down.
Okay. All right. Any more public comment this evening?
I just have one thing kind of along the same lines. I guess the water rates got me too. I was a little concerned, but then lo and behold, not even a couple weeks after that meeting, if you remember, right before Thanksgiving, for a little bit, we didn't have water. Now, I can remember Mr. Chisman, Councilman Chisman, when my husband first got on the city council, saying, man, we gotta do something. Have you seen how our water supply, it's ran by like a milk heater, and I even forget, because I didn't pay that much of attention, to be honest. But lo and behold, that's what messed up. It froze gauges, all kinds of other stuff. I mean, a huge mess. So I guess, like sitting here, yeah, I don't want to pay that high water bills either.
Neither do
But
I.
I don't think any of us do. But yet, I also want to see our city improve and to make the improvements that need made. I don't want to wake up Christmas morning and not have water, or some morning I've got to go to work and not have water because nothing's been fixed or worked on or taken care of. Would it be great if, yeah, then we got the city back on financial ground and you lowered them? Everybody would be ecstatic. But again, I mean, I know our city our city worker guy, maintenance guy, he was about fit to be tied because of trying to patch together things that are so broken.
Well,
And he's a good worker. I don't think that he wants to lose him.
I don't know if it's sitting back there right now, but I saw a milk house heater the other day that, hey, no more of that, no more.
So, I mean, I guess I'm just kind of throwing that out there because it kind of hit home as I was trying to get ready for Thanksgiving and no water. So. Plus watching Gary about to play his hair out wasn't fun.
Okay, any more public comment this evening? Okay, moving on, old business. Something we've been discussing and was brought up again here about the building permits. I think we're still in agreement that the current 2 chapters there on building permits are not really what we want. We looked at the one last week or last month. This one that you were presented with in your packet tonight was the 2 chapters from the 2005 book. I have said in the past, I'm not a building official. I think I do have enough people around me that I could go to for help. It says, previously we had talked about hiring a building official or one of the council members. I think as it currently states should be appointed as a building official. The one you guys received tonight goes back to the 2005. The mayor will be the city's building official and will be responsible for administration and enforcement of the chapter. mean, currently as it stands, we still are running without a building official. So that's kind of where we are there.
The 2016 copy, do we have that up here?
The last one the attorney had and the last one we had prior to the one that was passed in January of 17 or codified then was the 2005.
Okay, I've got a 2016.
When was that one caught? Was that,
Oh,
That was the preview, wasn't it?
Huh?
I think that was just the preview, wasn't it, for the 2017? Because it was codified in 2017.
okay.
so you would have the same one that we're working off of now?
But the one I've got says that a council person will be.
And that's the one that we're working
Yeah.
under the impression now.
All right,
We've
but I
never,
would say this differed from that. I didn't
Yeah.
proofread all of it.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This one goes back to 2005. Again, I would like to have this on the next agenda for us to be passing something. Again, we don't approve more than likely, probably more than 5 to 10 of these a year, but we are being abused right now. I mean, there's no arguing with that. There are people that are taking liberties on us and not coming up and getting their permits first. And
Could we send out a letter that spells out the basics, you know, that you kind of need a building permit?
that's what I intend to do.
And if, you know, and some cities allow, I guess before we work on this too much, if you want to re-roof your house and allow,
Oh, yeah, a lot of things.
I mean, it would be nice to have a list of things you could do without a permit.
I read one, I think, on under 400 square feet, one city didn't require. So, you know, everybody's different.
Right. Go ahead.
I think what you're wanting is, you're just wanting right now to get a building official,
That's what gets somebody getting a building official on the books.
and then we can start fixing some
Figuring
of
it
this
out.
stuff.
Yeah,
Correct.
correct.
And this would
This would take that out.
put it on you,
Yep.
so I'm
Some
okay.
of the other parts need changed in that. I mean, it's not, need addressed anyway. Limitations on permit, like I said, that's kind of vague, that part of it. There's some other, but I think something between what I presented you guys with last month and this would probably be the way to go. So I'll get in here and I'll work on that, try to get us something drawn up that's amicable, something that we can enforce, something that works,
You can Heather get it done.
hopefully. Yep. So that's kind of, I don't know, is there any other discussion on what you guys think, anything in the one from last month, or that, looking at that needs to be added or removed or anything?
We talked about checking with somebody to see if we wanted to hire somebody.
Okay, I sent an email to the guy in the tunnel. I did that to one of their inspectors. They have 3. He said he didn't know of them contracting out any work or any of them coming out and doing anything like that. He said it was very different. I can print a copy of that email for you guys so you can read what he told me.
I didn't call Morgan.
And
I'm sorry, I'm
we're
old.
gonna talk to the county.
County's got an inspector, and at one time I was told he might moonlight a little bit. Now I'm wondering about insurance, you know, for him when he's down. It might carry over. I'll call Morgan tomorrow.
But yeah, I talked to the guy in the tunnel and he was pretty vague. I asked if there was if he knew of anybody that would come in and do that as a side service, how much they would charge for something like that. Didn't give me any information on either. So,
Since we're just visiting, okay, you're the mayor, what do you want? Do you want to take it on, or do you want us
I
to
can.
investigate a little down the road and maybe see if we can get that, or what's the?
say we can get by with me doing it, but I am not perfect. I am not a builder. I am not a constructor, but I think I have enough people.
Less than a month ago, I had you walking on water, so don't go telling me you're not perfect.
Right. So, but I'd be willing to take it on if we go back and do the 2005 and reinstitute it. So, food for thought, something to think about. I'll get something hopefully to have before the next meeting that we can set in stone.
Well, mainly we just, you know my feelings on this current ordinance book.
Yeah.
Mainly we just, basically, we need to decide who the inspector's gonna be, and then we gotta get some ordinances.
Now, you're talking an inspector rather than a building official.
Most of this current ordinance book, Bob, my problem with it is, and it's not a huge problem, but I always hear, well, it used to be this way, or it used to be that way. The fact of it is, almost all that ordinance book, to my knowledge, is straight Iowa code. If you wanna read the Blakesburg City Ordinances, just go to the Iowa code book and read it. That thing was not, I'm not going there, but it's a mess.
Some of these sections contradict themselves with
Yeah,
numbers. and things.
it's a mess. Jason and I went through it one day, and how many things did we find we needed to change? And that was just in like in 2 hours, probably 30 or 40.
Look at that. I mean, there was a notebook, basically a legal pad, cut in half. Stuff that was just not carried over and probably could have been or should have been.
It wasn't run by an attorney before it was done. It was, it's a mess.
That's what Heather told us. She hadn't seen anything until we took it down to her in April. Hadn't seen the codified one that was codified in 17. She was still operating off the one from 2005. So, again, I just wanted to kind of update everybody and show you that. And I think maybe that's something we need to go back to the one from 2005 as opposed to 2017, or even the one that I prepared for you last month. So, guys, we need to talk about that. We can at some other time, but just get a hold of me and we'll figure something out. Bids for pump house repairs. Earlier this month, I wanted to just get the pump house fixed. So we got a bid on it. I didn't know. To me, it was kind of getting to be cold and may end up being an emergency, so I just wanted it done. We got a bid I thought was pretty reasonable. Other people didn't think it was so reasonable. We were going to have a special session to approve or deny what the work I wanted done down there, or we wanted done down there. Then we hit a snag with it. The weather turned cold. We had a cold snap, so part of that bid was going to have to change. So we canceled that special session. What's my paper on? There is a, help me with the terminology, Kevin. It's called infrastructure, vertical infrastructure.
Vertical infrastructure.
To where anything that is deemed like an emergency like that, for cities under 50,000,
That's per Mickey, and I checked it online.
for the city to need a competitive quote, it would have had to have been quoted for over 55,000.
55,000 and under
So
135,000.
if somebody come in with a quote of 1,100 to do that work, we could have just had it done without a second bid or any bid other than that. I mean,
But
that one.
chapter 26 also says that the powers that be may go ahead and get a few quotes if they think it's a good idea. But no current threshold for 2018, and again, that's Mickey. Currently, they change it over the years, is for a city under 50,000 on vertical infrastructure, as long as it's under 55,000.
So,
And you don't have to publish even under 135,000 per bid.
I would still like to see the repairs go forward down there. What we need to kind of figure out if we're gonna post this, and we did also find out that for a quote under that, it doesn't need to be published, that we can just, like as an additional, we're accepting bids. We can just put it out there tonight that we're accepting bids for that, set a closing date for the bids, and go forward. My question to you guys is, what do we need to do at the pump house?
That Jetco company,
Mhm.
that fellow said he would come down and look at our radio system for free.
Yeah.
Now, if we decide to do something, or then it's gonna cost us something, I'm sure. I'd like to see us look that over. That's the thing that's got the jumper wire with the alligator clips that keeping our system together. when we had the fire down here on High Street a couple of years ago, the tower didn't refill. Nobody at that time knew much about the system. Rathman Rural came over and looked at everything. I don't know that they found anything wrong. It went back to working. But I kind of got the feeling that the wiring, the switch and stuff was kind of maybe unorthodox. So if we could get this fellow to take a squint at that before we go ahead and build something.
Let's just have Beatty come over if he needs wired wire up.
I'm talking the radio system, Kevin.
Well, you mentioned the alligator clips, that's where I'm threw off.
I think that's on the radio.
I looked at them, I thought they were on the milk house heater. Maybe I'm mistaken.
That's up on a panel, the alligator clips.
Yeah, well, that could be a bolt just as well as an alligator clip too. I mean, it's not rocket science.
I guess
It's not.
But you got a chance to get it looked at.
I'm not gonna say dig in.
Well-
This is gonna be me tonight. We either fix the damn thing or we don't. And it's running cold. Gary went down there again Sunday to double check the new heater because the old milk house went down the dumps. I don't want our city guy driving down there when it's 20 below at 2 in the morning to make sure our water supply is gonna work. We put it off for the last 2 months, and I guess I'm gonna end my speech, but I'm starting, just getting.
I think we're talking about two different things, Bob. I think you're talking about the radio part of it. We're talking about keeping the system up and running.
Right, and I talked to Don Chambers, he had no trouble with it. It's basically a milk house heater, the system we have now.
So we don't fix it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying get a couple, make sure we got a couple circuits there dedicated for heaters. Maybe have 2 heaters.
Let's do this then. We request for 3 competitive bids from people. If they don't get us the bids within 30 days, we proceed with whoever wants to do it and we fix it.
Bids for what work though? That's what we need to have.
Then we decide what we want to do down there.
Bob told, when Gary and I was down there, he said he'd like to see us take turns checking that.
I made an offer that if that's a hardship on Gary, I would take a turn.
But Bob, here's what I went through the other day. I got a call when I was shoveling snow that the heater was out down there and the city's water supply was at stake, and it didn't set very well with me, to be honest.
And I'm wondering why we didn't check.
I'm wondering why we didn't fix it in October like we talked about and had a new heater in there.
Yeah, well, to me, I don't know what a heater costs.
Well, I think it was all, what, $100? Somewhere in there.
But a heater and keep an eye on it, it's worked for, we've just talking about raising rates on everybody.
And that's part of my question. I raised rates so we could fix necessary infrastructure. Now, if I sit here and hoard that money and somebody's without water, I'm gonna look like a damn fool.
Let's get the radio people to look at that before we box it in and insulate it. That's what I'm asking.
Why would you want to wait?
But yeah, I don't understand that either.
All right, if I can get
So
it
if
done.
you foam it, if you put foam insulation in there, that spray foam, then you're gonna have all your wiring and conduit covered up, right?
You pull new wire.
Not necessarily.
But there's conduit running out of
You
it.
pull new wire through conduit all the time, that's why you put.
But is all of it in conduit that we need to do? If we need more circuits, that's what I'm saying.
Well, all I'm saying is, let's
According to
get
this
some
bid,
qualified
everything would have
people.
been in new circuits and new conduit, evidently, you didn't look at the bid.
Let's just get some qualified people in and have them fix it.
Whatever.
But again, next call I get, there's something wrong down there. I mean, I bet
And you
yeah,
can't,
maybe that.
it's just like that bid was made, okay, he was gonna spray foam 2 things at once, but since he went ahead and did his because we balked on doing it, then that spray foam went from $300 to $600 minimum. So it ain't great to sit around and talk and wait and carry on about stuff. Sometimes you have to do it when you can do it.
Well, like I said,
And I don't think any of us are gonna go down there and take turns unless you want all the turns going down and checking that building.
I can do that.
Why would we want to? I guess that's my whole point. Why? There wasn't that long ago you talked about, and I think it's out there, I found it, that we could get a system when the power went out and it called somebody. There's really no need, in my opinion, even to have this discussion. We're not talking $150,000 here.
How about,
The discussion, okay,
how about I don't wanna say a siren, but something that gives an audible alarm. Surely one of the neighbors,
No, we'll get something on a phone that,
That'll call me, it'll let me
It's a
know.
couple,
we're not gonna have a neighbor.
it's
listen
a
for
couple
siren.
$100. From what I saw, I'd have to research it a little more, and that was a good idea you had. I didn't even know something like that existed till I started looking for it. But I'll tell you, you get a call where, and I'm being a little dramatic, I don't think the city would have run out of water. But when you get a call that says, hey, guess what, the milk house heater's out, the tower's gonna freeze up, wasn't a real good day. $20, there was one laying back there that Methuselah made.
I don't think the tower would freeze, there'd definitely be water outage, I'm not gonna argue.
Well, the gauge just froze up, I know that.
That happened.
But I'd like to see us look at that radio system.
I'm all for that too, and that's, like I said, that's pretty,
I think we need to for reliability.
Let's do this, and I'll have the kid down here within a week.
yeah, we can do
I'll
that.
make the call tomorrow, I'll call him up and I'll say, I want him down here pronto. And I like Isaiah Fine, and we'll buy him a hamburger when he comes down.
You've been down there as well, right, Lisa? Let's, okay.
We
I think we're all in
We haven't
agreement.
give you a turn. have we?
Waiting for the dust to settle.
Okay, I think we're in agreement that we need to do something.
I absolutely think we need to do something, and I looked at this bid.
Yeah,
I agree with everything there that needs
on that
done.
bid.
I think that's fine. Let's get it done.
He's not doing that bid now. He
Well,
doesn't do it right.
Well,
But that's the work,
I'm not
okay.
saying, I'm saying the work.
The work that needs done, we agree that that's,
Good for him.
Yeah.
we agree that that's the work that needs done, correct? Is the same thing that we had on that bid? You need
Yeah.
the closet, the spray foam,
Yeah.
so,
And I think that's gonna kill a lot of problems that we're having.
Basically, you wouldn't be relying on that heat as much. The heater wouldn't work hardly at all. You could put a baseboard heater in there on a thermostat. It's simple. It's simple to fix. I mean,
I think we even discussed backup generator. I kinda had the idea, I was kidding Gary, but I'm not gonna say what I said. LP, like a Mr. Heater, propane tank in there, set it on thermostat to go off it. You can even get the freestanders, LPs, non-vented, set it on thermostat. Electric quits, goes down to 50, the other should kick on. That'd probably be 95%. There's a lot of ways we
But
could go on
that
backup.
is a good idea.
Well, there's a lot of ways we could go on backup. There's a lot of, you've had a lot of good ideas. The thing I'm frustrated with is I'd like it fixed, because to be honest, I like Gary. I don't want him going down there when it's 25 below like he did last year.
I don't wanna lose Gary.
I don't wanna lose the
And if we-
guy.
And that's what, unless we do
But
something.
this Mr. Heater, is there an issue with fire then, if you put it in the closet?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a great idea if you have the backup.
If you want to spend a lot of money, you can get a freestanding LP like they'll heat cabins with and put it on a thermostat and stick a 20-gallon LP on it. Say you keep it 60 in there and your electric quits, set the thermostat on the other to kick at 50, and go down and check it once a week, you catch it then. But like I said, there's a lot of good ideas out there, and you've had a lot of good ones. I will say that. It's just, we need to do something. And we lost. So who are we gonna get to fix it now? There's gonna be the question.
So I said, well, put a notification
Can
out
I
there.
ask you a question? Does it have to be, if you're doing electrical work, does it have to be a certified
It's
contractor?
gonna have to
with
be a
no-
licensed electrician.
Licensed
Yeah,
electrician?
Which is really not a problem. I imagine a quick phone call, and Jerry's working, I think Beatty's been up here, I mean, the last time, how quick was he up here, Jerry, on that water? I mean, he's up here like, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
So that's something,
Yeah.
of course, that goes along with the pump house, that maybe I forgot to put that in my notes there, the day before what Kim was discussing, the day before Thanksgiving, Alliant Energy had saw there was a lack of usage on a box, put a work order in to have the box removed. They didn't realize it was the box that ran the electricity to the pump house, so that's why we didn't have water.
Can I give Councilman VanDorin credit for being hell on wheels? Him and Gary are down at the pit on that day.
They,
Oh, boy.
on a side note, there's some people that were delinquent on their water bills that hurried up to get them paid that day because they thought we'd shut them off, and we hadn't. So there's another call at Hy-Vee on a serious note, that they
Seriously.
called me at the store wondering if we've done something, if they've done something wrong, then no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I looked at my cell phone and I had been notified by about 20 different people that we don't have water, but that was, Alliant admitted to that being their mistake. They come in and put a new box in, or they hook the box back up. But yeah, those phone calls aren't good, and people not having water is not good. So the work that was included in that bid, Asa, can you read through it real quick for everybody? Because I don't have that sitting in front of me because that was from.
Sure, it says, insulated closet around water supply, 3 foot 6 inches by 3 foot 6 inches, 8 foot tall. 30, you don't want the number.
Number, I don't need the money in there.
32-inch outswing door left side, plus framing material. 5/8 fire resistant rock on outside only. Styrofoam. Wiring, 2 lights, 1 switch, 2 outlets. Take old conduit. Conduit labor included in wiring. Labor cost. That's it.
That was it. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. We'll get that drawn up on a notice. We can posted a couple different places. As I said, it doesn't have to be published in the newspaper with it being work that should be relatively. We'll get a couple bids. What date would you guys like the bids in by?
No later than 30 days.
No later than 30 days.
And I want work to begin on 2 weeks after the bids. Even if we got a whole special session. And we shouldn't have to do that, just approve one and get it done.
I guess back to the radio thing, and I'll quit grinding on it, but we don't have any idea who set that system up or anything, do we?
Nope.
So we need to have somebody in the wings.
And I don't think anybody here is arguing about that. I think
No,
that's.
I meant what I said, I'll have that kid down here next week.
Yep. Yep.
But to me, that's part of the overall thing to make it more reliable.
That guy from Jetco come down and helped us with the flow meter that got fried by the lightning, the old flow meter. So he's a very nice guy. I think his name was Justin. I don't think it was Isaiah. I don't think Isaiah.
No, Justin's his boss.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have to have Justin come down. I don't know if that's up Isaiah's alley, but I assume it is.
You're gonna have to buy 2 burgers then. You're gonna have to buy 2 burgers then.
That's all right, cheap price. I didn't buy him the last one, Joe did. Joe Kirkham.
I need a motion.
Joe was so happy.
Just if you have a motion saying that we're going to post it with
Okay.
that number of days and weeks.
So I will take a motion approving that we will post, we will accept bids within the next 30 days, start work 2 weeks after, or within 2 weeks after that. And the work that will be needed will be the same that was on the first bid that we received. So.
Now, can I throw this in just because I'm finding out this happens? What if we get no bids?
And we'll rebid it.
I think the only way we'll get them, anybody know any contractors, is just call the guys up and ask them if they want to work the job and have them shoot us a bid, because they're not, be my best way. If anybody knows a couple good contractors.
Put something in the paper, is that prohibited?
No, but why spend the money? We'll spend $200 to put it in the paper.
I would want to spend that.
That's what I think. How much is it?
About 40.
About 40.
$40.
Unless Randy wants to do it, I don't think you're gonna find anybody that does it.
You want to bet on it?
Oh, the last resort, huh?
No, you drive.
No, they'll put it up for bid.
You were
post
here.
it. We'll post it and we'll accept bids and we'll find out. And then if Randy wants to put in a bid, he's here.
He's here, let him go.
Yep. So I'll take a motion to post bids to do some work at the pump house, the work that was outlined in the previous bid.
I will make that motion.
Motion by Chisman,
Second.
seconded by Smith. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on to new business. The Blakesburg Historical Preservation Society is here to give us their annual report.
For you that don't know me, I'm Don Stephenson. I'm a board member for the Blakesburg Historical Society. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to give you an update on 2018. The board members and volunteers are a busy group. We chalked up a little over almost 956 documented volunteer hours so far this year, hosting at the museum on Tuesdays and Thursdays, doing museum cleaning and maintenance, and hosting special events and fundraisers. In addition to the regular Tuesday, Thursday hours, the museum was open over Memorial Day weekend the alumni reunion weekend, and all during the Corn Carnival. And we also had open hours during trick or treat night to hand out treats to dozens of little folks. Additionally, one or another of the BHPS board members opened the museum by special request from out-of-town visitors. This year, the museum had visitors from 8 states, including Alabama, California, Colorado, Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania. Special programs about the orphan train, Buffalo Bill Cody, and the Underground Railroad were well attended and well received, with attendance averaging around 100 per program, coming from all surrounding towns and communities. All 3 programs had generous, positive coverage by the Ottumwa Courier and or KTVO-TV. Corn Carnival participation included sponsoring Nauvoo on the Road, a popular addition to Saturday entertainment. In spite of the weather, the Pie and Ice Cream Social at the Antique Airfield during the Labor Day fly-in was successful thanks to many great pie bakers who generously donate their homemade pies. Other fundraisers were the bake sale in April, a community impact night at Pizza Ranch in May, the annual rummage sale in June, and a raffle during the Corn Carnival. Bake sale proceeds fund the annual Aubrey Chisholm Scholarship, which this year was awarded to Randy Richmond. BHPS also published the 49th annual Blakesburg Community Calendar and highlighted the history of Blakesburg 2 churches as a feature article. Several of Blakesburg's civic organizations choose to advertise their events and meetings on the calendar, a new feature added for 2019. Major historical artifact donations and acquisitions this year include 10-gallon cream can with brass label identifying it as a Warner Produce and Feed, Blakesburg, Iowa, oak-cased weight scale from Benson Hardware Store, 2 books of local history including Ples and the Vigilantes and the Excelsior, the antique photo album containing many photographs identifying members of early Blakesburg community settlers from the families of Angel, Cloyd, Bells, Abernathy, and Winecup. Many Winecup family pictures and mementos, several BHS yearbooks, 2 made in Blakesburg, L.T. Stewart pieces, 1-gallon crock, and a 4-gallon butter churn, and much more. All are on display at the museum. Major museum improvements this year included a new updated security system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Okay, set an interim approval limit for the mayor until we write a new purchasing policy. So this kind of goes back to that bid that we had on to do the work at the pump house. Or if we come up with something that is an emergency, I don't feel comfortable just doing that all the time without, and I shouldn't. I mean, that's what you guys are here for, is to approve spending and what have you. I believe that, did you speak to Mickey or Mark about it?
Talked to both of them.
Talked to both of them.
Mark's serious, Mickey's not.
They
both said basically the same thing.
If we need something purchased immediately, how much is too much for me just to approve? How much? I mean, and that's what they said. They said some cities go.
Mickey said some cities are 250. I mentioned a number we were thinking, and he said some are higher than that. Mark said just understand it goes on the consent agenda.
That valve was what? Down that new valve down the pit, how much was that?
The total was 192, the valve itself was 40, and I plan on trying to get Alliant Energy to pay for that, plus Beatty's bill. I haven't received Beatty's yet.
I don't know the gauges. He's talking about the valve.
I'm talking about the big
Oh,
valve
the
down.
valve, that
Yeah.
one was 2,700.
We dealt.
That's about the worst case scenario unless the water tower fall over or something like that.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I looked at what we have insured for today. I think we need to check into what it's gonna cost to rebuild a new one. We might be just a little shy.
I'm sure. When you said 250,
You want me to throw the number out? 1,500.
sounds good. If you're happy with that.
I work for you guys, so you guys tell me what you're
With the
comfortable
understanding,
with.
I think everybody knows that if we're talking a valve and say the city's water, was it that desperate? I'm trying to remember back that far. If it's an emergency, even if it's over that, I mean, sure, it's gotta be done. I mean, but we're talking, that's dire stuff
I
there.
don't go out and buy things for this place without, I don't think we've ever needed it yet. I think we discussed it early in the year, last year, on, you know, what happens in case of emergency.
And say if it's documented, why?
Mark said it will go on the consent agenda. He said, remember that, so. Just since the mayor said that, I have noticed that since the mayor's took his office, that there is a new deck been built in the back of his house.
Yeah, and South Tacoma Savings Bank and all those documents are.
So were you thinking we should go the amount that we did for that valve?
I was just the worst case scenario. When you said 250, you talking 250,
No.
250,000?
Mickey just, well, hey, it's Jason. You wanna, Mickey just said it's different from every town. It's just basically, okay, and frankly, I didn't care. I was mayor pro tem, I got the call on that. I think my words were, I don't give a damn what the A-year costs, get it replaced or get it fixed. It didn't turn out to be a lot of money, but if it had been $5,000, I'd have ate it. You know, I'd have stood by that, but I don't know. We were banking around 1,500, but it's up, if you wanna go higher, bottom line with him, I got no problem with it.
Let's give you a chance here.
Well, it could be higher any given time. It
Yeah.
just depends on what happens.
What the emergency is and
This is a
whatever.
temporary deal, right?
Yeah.
Let's get it done and we'll give us some time to think about when we do it permanent.
I think 1,500 is a good starting point.
Anything over that, I have to get council approval, and I'm fine with that.
And in my opinion, I guess I don't think it's that hard to, I mean, we can hold a conference call as far as I'm concerned.
Special meetings are not a problem with me either.
I'm pretty sure everybody in here owns a cell phone.
Yep.
Surely
The
get 3
meetings all
people
have to be
together.
open, so if you did a conference call, that might get a little complicated.
We got a digital
You have to
recorder.
post it a day in advance.
We have to post it the 24 hours and
Yeah.
follow the open.
And surely we can get 3 people together if it's an emergency, keep something going.
If it's a big emergency where Tim Richmond's standing up here with us, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna matter anyway.
That's what I'm saying. If it's a 24-hour deal, I mean, if we've got 24 hours, we can post it and have the meeting. But if it's an emergency,
Well,
Just handle it.
yeah.
you could run it into things like, hey, this is big when transmission goes out of the truck. 1,500 is not gonna go that issue. For example, something like that, just where you could say get it fixed.
Well, yeah,
And-
yeah, but that's, I mean, we can have a meeting on that.
Yeah.
I'm talking, we have the pipe burst down here. That's gonna cost us more than $1,500.
Right, but we need to have somebody
Yeah.
just go fix it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a got to be.
When we write the purchasing
Maybe we go
policy,
a
we
little
can
higher.
specify things that
That,
might be done without.
you know,
Bob wants to go higher, so.
Well, what's the average pipe?
Well-
We've had break, it's been close to 2, hasn't it, for when we had those?
no, I think the big one down there, I can't remember what it was. The last one was, I don't know, they've been running around about 1,000 to 1,500, I think, right in that area.
Between 1,200.
When you get them in, just cross your fingers and hope we don't have any, but.
We've got some moisture this year, which should help for, the frost going on.
Let's just make it 2,000.
Okay. Motion by VanDorin, set the interim approval limit at $2,000.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Coe. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Chisman,
I'll second that.
seconded by Coe. All in favor?
Aye.